This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network. And joining me right now is John Farlinger. He is the executive chairman and CEO of Assure Holdings Corp. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you: IOM on the TSX Venture and ARHH on the OTCQB. John, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Thanks, Bobby. Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So this is our first time doing an interview together. It's actually our first time meeting in person. Well, virtually, but I'd love to start off, if you can. Could you provide us a quick overview and history of the company, and then we'll go from there?
Yeah, sure. The company was started privately by a fellow by the name of Preston Parsons in Denver, Colorado, in late 2015, early 2016. He went out. He was a former football player in the NFL. Had a great idea of delivering on a need for intraoperative neuromonitoring in the operating room, and felt there was a significant need for a better type of service. Went out, tested the idea with a number of doctors in the Denver area. Voila, there was interest. We started to scale, but like most emerging businesses, needed capital. He had a partner at that point in time. They didn't have experience in raising venture capital, private equity, and one of the gentlemen had a relationship in Canada with the TSX-V. Ultimately, it led to a transaction where they went public on the Toronto Venture Exchange, and a round of funding took place. That was in May of 2017, and since then, the company at that year did about 1,500 procedures. Since then, we've grown that by over tenfold. And this year we'll do we're forecasting over 17,000 managed procedures this year. And over that period of time, we started to trade on the QB. Last November, we did an institutional round of funding with Special Sit in Manchester. And we actually registered an S1 filing in February of this year. And now we are making plans to uplist on the NASDAQ.
Very good. All right. So, John, what would you say makes your neuromonitoring services and product, what makes it unique and different compared to your peers out there?
Great question. I think as we look at the competitive landscape now, about 1.4 million surgeries took place last year using intraoperative neuromonitoring. It is now the standard of care in the United States. For any type of complicated invasive surgery, Bobby, you want to be using intraoperative neuromonitoring. For example, complicated neurosurgery, open heart surgery in a vascular environment, any type of complicated back or spine surgery, you're gonna want to use intraoperative neuromonitoring, or face the risk that damage could be done to a neural gateway, and a host of things can fall from that. In the operating room, where we excel, and really our focus is really on quality of service. We reinvest a lot of money into research, education. We have our own education department. There are only 6,000 intraoperative neuromonitoring technologists in the United States. We employ over 80 of them. And all of our techs are board certified. So a key differentiator, many of our competitors are using technologists who are not trained. A typical tech here has a master's degree, a bachelor's degree in science. They've done 180 surgeries approximately, and they are board certified. The other differentiators are, in addition to quality of service, we believe we are building a platform here that is really a recurring revenue model focused around partnering with surgeons, ambulatory surgery centers, hospitals. And the focus of that is on quality of service, on revenue cycle management, contracting, and getting paid is critical in this industry. And it's typical in healthcare. One of the biggest problems that many companies have is getting paid. And we have focused on building our own competencies, recruiting best of breed people on our revenue cycle management team. We employ 25 people. 2 years ago, we were like everyone else. We were using third-party billing companies. We would get a report, piece of paper, this is how you did, without any visibility into analytics, data, automation. Rather than that being a weakness, we focused on it becoming a strength and have reinvested a lot of our capital into building that platform. so that everything is automated now. Exchange of funds, exchange of records, everything is pretty much being done electronically. And as you look at the rest of most of our competitors, certainly the mid-market competitors, they're all at a disadvantage, where we will outperform them from a collection standpoint. The other things are really the contracting side, getting paid. We are unique in that we are going out to partner with the insurance companies, going in network, when everybody else in the industry is out of network, which means they don't have a contract for specified rates with the insurance companies. They provide the service, they hope they're going to get paid, and they accept a payment 30, 60, some cases 365 days later. We're focused on having a contract which requires payment in 30 to 45 days. Over the last 24 months, particularly last year, we moved almost 25% of our business into contracts in network. Right now, we're flirting with about 30%, and our goal by the end of the year is to have 50% of our revenue into contractual terms with the payors. Part of that is evangelizing the value of our service, so they understand and they can value what we're doing and pay us and compensate us properly. And then with that, ultimately, you're leading to higher returns for stakeholders, and you're able to reinvest more money in training, education, growth, et cetera. I think the last thing that differentiates us from most of our competitors is just, I'm really proud of the people we have. I think we've done a great job as a board, as a management team, in recruiting the best possible people on RCM, clinically, contracting, operationally, and everything here is about operational excellence, and not just doing a good job, but doing a great job. We're saving lives in the OR every day. Our technologists are involved in procedures that can sometimes be 8, 9, 10 hours in length. And so training, education, and being recognized as a leader there is critical. Does that give you some perspective on us and what we do?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No perspective. No, I'm just
I'll start over.
No, that was great. Thank you. No, so my next question is, I want to get a better understanding of the market opportunity. You mentioned that the amount of procedures since starting has gone up tenfold. So if my math is good, you've done somewhere over around 150,000 procedures, I think. Is that bad math?
I'd have to do quick math on the last 4 years.
Or maybe I think you said 15,000. I couldn't remember. You said 15,000, 1,500.
We started with 1,500 in 7.
Okay, so that's why. Okay,
we then jumped to about 3,000 in 18, 6,500 in 19, 10,000 last year. COVID impacted our growth as it did everybody in healthcare. And this year we're forecasting to do over 17,000 procedures. As you look at
terrible math,
but we're hoping for 50. But we're actually planning now, and really, it's funny. I had a question from one of our shareholders this morning. As you look at the market, how do you see the market? How are you planning? We're planning to be operating at 50,000. That's how we're building infrastructure now. That's how we're staffing now. And a big part of that is, we're going through a couple of key pivot points internally, where we've got our core business, we're performing well, it's doing well. Our margins are stable. We're taking market share away from our competitors, and I think we'll have a very strong year. What I'm really excited about is also getting into, in addition to providing technologist services, we provide remote neurologist services. We use contracting companies. A big part of our growth will be investing in that area and providing our own neurologist services, not just to our own business, but to the hospitals and maybe even to our competitors. And we're really excited about that. We started hiring. We've hired our first neurologist in March. They're doing cases now. We've got our second starting next week, and we will have a third neurologist on board, really generating revenue, Bobby, recurring revenue on the back of everything else that we're doing. So it's making the rest of our business much more valuable rather than relying on third-party contracting companies who are, and most people don't realize this, they're managing 7 to 12 procedures at a time, each neurologist is. That is the standard now. Rather than having a neurologist in the OR for every procedure, it can be done remotely, using data, using a portal. That's what we're doing. And rather than giving up that scale to giving a contracting company the ability to scale with 7 to 12 at a time. We're going to do it ourselves. And that business, I think, has tremendous opportunity for us. And really what we're doing is pivoting toward a real telehealth model where we can go out and really support intraoperative neuromonitoring, do it ourselves, support neurologist services to the hospitals and our partners, and also go from intraoperative neuromonitoring, jumping into pure EEG services and other services wrapped around that vertical. We're really excited about that, and we're ramping up to really roll that out over the balance of this year.
Very good. All right. Well, look, I got one more question for you, and I feel like we could keep talking because this is really, I'm interested in learning a little bit more about the industry and where your opportunity set lies, But, to close this out here, John, I'd love to get your background. How did you come into all this?
Great question. So I knew very little about healthcare when I'm a Canadian by birth, live in Vancouver, Canada. I got involved with Assure as really the independent director. I'd sold my last business. He was in the tech space to a private equity firm. And the group that funded Assure going public asked me to step on as an independent director. And my background, I grew up in Canada, worked as CFO of one of the largest franchise chains, as a financial officer of one of the largest franchise chains, and have experience. I led a venture round, lived in Silicon Valley for all 3 years, turned a small telecom company in Seattle around where we had about 180 employees in the early 2000s, led a venture round in the mid 2000s, moved back to Canada and really got back into technology and really had 2 turnarounds there. The last one I exited in 2017, where I was successfully turned around an infrastructure play in the lower mainland of British Columbia and sold it to an Asian private equity firm on a cash transaction. It was going to take some time off, but the founder of Assure and the board asked me to get more involved as CEO, the interim CEO. I'd agreed to 9 months and staying here. That was 3 years ago. So I kind of got more into the business, learning more about healthcare. Didn't know a lot then, but I think I know a lot more now. I'm also an advisor to a healthcare company in the AI space, and I'm on one other corporate board in Canada. So I went through the school of hard knocks. You learn more from the things that don't work well, and you try not to duplicate those. And I think we've taken Assure from a place where it was a little bumpy in 2018, but right now we're feeling really good about our company and our ability to compete in this space. And we're looking forward to competing over the next 24 to 36 months.
Listen, it never works out when you say, no, I'm going to be here for 9 months. And then, come on, you knew you joined Public Cup. There's no way you knew you were going to be there for just 9 months.
You never know. You never know how it's going to play out. Here we are 3 years later. So
very good. All right. Well, John, I'll let you go. I know you're very busy right now. So, where can our audience go and find more information about Assure?
www.assureneuromonitoring.com. We just issued a press release this morning. We just secured a credit facility of $11 million through Centurion Financial Trust. Really, we're excited to be working with that group in a fairly well-known fund in Canada. And they've agreed to sponsor us and help us through this next period of expansion for the balance of this year. And we're excited. We've made our NASDAQ application. The entire company's energized right now about the future ahead of us. Okay.
John, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
Thanks, Bobby. Be safe.
You too. Bye.